Hey folks, Brian here. Today I'm going to try to true the front wheel of my bike using this truing stand, the TS-2.2P by Park Tool. It's not the newest model, but it's going to do the job and probably do the job well. Now since I got this used, I decided to calibrate it with this perhaps pricey hunk of metal called the Park Tool centering gauge 1554-1. Now the first thing to calibrate were these two arms. They move kind of side to side this way. And after putting the gauge, I could definitely see that the gaps on the left and the right were not the same. So I did use this handy Harbor Freight digital caliper to make sure that the left and the right were the same. After that, I swung this forward and made sure that the left and right were the same. I had to adjust it by moving it to the left. These were two over to the right. So I tightened this part with a socket wrench and I loosened this, and that moved it over to the left. And I made sure these arms are working properly, and now it's ready to go. So let's put that front wheel on and take a look. Here's the front wheel now mounted on the truing stand. Here you can see that the gauges, the calibrated gauges, are not rubbing against the rim, so the wheel is not bad. It's definitely not perfect. I think, as the Park Tool video says, the errors amplified from all sorts of different factors, like the shape, the alignment, the dishing, that was a little bit off. But nevertheless, this will serve as a rough gauge. If it rubs in a certain spot, we know that the wheel has a certain different stress and is shaping incorrectly. Now, one thing I learned while setting this up is you really need to tighten these set screws back here so that the arms move in unison. After calibration, if the arms don't move in unison as you turn this knob, then it isn't calibrated and it doesn't work well. So that's a quick tip for you. Now I'm going to adjust individual spokes using the WTA tool and the TM1 spoke tension meter. Try to get them as even as possible, yet without rubbing over here. Well, I finally trued the wheel. I changed a lot of the spoke tensions using the spoke tension TM1 meter, which I'll probably present in another video. But you simply put it on a spoke, let go, and check the measurement here. For the front wheel, I used this, I believe, SW3, the blue one. And for the back, I used the SW2, the red one. Now, once I tried to make them even, I really paid the price. It really started rubbing all over the place, and it required a lot of fine adjustment. I didn't use the truing stand on the rear wheel, so I have no doubt it's definitely not true. It probably rubs all over the place. So my recommendation is to really don't make any adjustments. Don't make any unnecessary adjustments if you don't have to. So let's go back to the screen with the WTA, the tension application on the Park Tool website, and see what changed. As you can see here, though, it's not making any rubbing noises. Whew, that was tough. Here we are in the Park Tool wheel tension app, and before I started this whole process, I did measure the tension of the spokes, and on the left hand side you can see there was definitely a lot of warnings. First, let's make sure they're both 20%. There were a couple of warnings. You can see spoke 2 was a little bit higher than the average. 13 and 16 were also a little bit above the average, beyond the 20% variance. And left 17 on the left hand side was a little bit low. Now you can see what I did on the right hand side. It looks for somehow all the spoke tensions went down. The average spoke tension went to 894 from 100, and also the left hand side dropped from 125 to 138. And here you can see I tried to fix it as much as I could, but then around here, around spoke 8 or 9, 10, everything started rubbing, and it was quite a battle to fix it. After that, I just said, hey, I'm just going to make these green check marks on the 10% as best as I can and finish up so I could go bike riding. Probably if we do 15%, it's going to get, oh, not bad. Let's go to 15% on the, okay, so maybe, it's better than it was before. The tension went down, which is not too good, I think, but at least everything is in a relative tension. Things are more the same. As you can see at the 10% variance, there's a lot of red here. The right hand is really bad, but over here it's a little bit better. So I worked a lot on this rear wheel. Initially I was adjusting each spoke, testing it, make sure nothing rubbed. That's like a poor man's truing test, since I didn't want to take off the wheel. Eventually I just kind of gave up, went YOLO FU mode, and just made everything the same on each side. So what I mean is the left hand was all set to 27, the right hand side is all set to 30, and the average tension is the same as it was all out of whack and before any adjustment. Now after I did that of course changed the shape of the wheel and caused some rubbing up here on the other side. I noticed these brackets, the metal was very curved like this, and so when I clamped it like this, so the metal bracket was really against this fender, it stopped rubbing. So anyway, I also went on a wild goose chase, took off the calipers, took out the pads, cleaned them to make sure they were nice and flat. There was one part of it which wasn't even, so I made sure to clean it up. But when I put it back, when I didn't put it back, I realized the noise was still there. And that's when I traced it back to this bracket up here. Anyway, make sure you test your spoke tension early on so you know that it's dropping, or, well, it's probably not increasing, but you know the change. For me, I've done this at 800 miles, so I don't know exactly where it was at the beginning. But now I guess this is my relative scale, where next time, if it does drop, then I might think about increasing it and keeping the same level. So here's how it looks now. You can see it's all even, but it definitely changed the character of the wheel. And this definitely isn't necessarily the recommended action to take. I just sort of went crazy and left my thought center on vacation and just went for it. So thanks for watching. Hope this helps. See you later. Bye.